the oath of the team to order. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Andy Whitehall, Avenue. I was looking for information on the Board of Education online, and I was on the city website. It doesn't have any of your minutes, or it has one agenda from December. I continued looking, and I found your website, and I see the agenda for tonight is current. Minutes go up to April of 22. I mean, I'd like to make a suggestion that
we just converted our website over, so they may not all have been uploaded yet, but I'll make a note to myself to make sure that they
but people who go to the city website are going to be disappointed. Maybe something should be put there saying, see the Board of Ed website, because I didn't even know there was a Board of Ed website.
I'm gonna put that on.
Okay.
I don't control the city
I want to be
website.
clear, Amanda, part of our process is to file the agenda and the minutes with the city clerk. So we do send it, and that's where all of those emanate from. We have our own website. But
Yes, and
we're
your
obligated,
website.
yeah, we're obligated to send everything there, and I'm surprised that they don't put it up online. No.
Piece of information, you guys. That's it.
But again, I
Right.
will notify the clerk, but it's really on the clerk's office to make sure that once we put them down there, somehow they file. Or they post them.
Is there anyone else from the public that would like to address the board? For the second time, is there the public that would like to address the board? For the third and final time? Public that would like to address the board? Seeing none, at 6:04, public session is closed. This time, I will turn it over to the superintendent for administration status.
Thank you, Jeff. I have 3 items that I'm going to address tonight. I know beginning of school, certainly if anybody has any questions. What I'm passing down to you now is a list of open positions as of today. The good news, if you look at the list, all of our classrooms will be covered. Obviously, we are feeling the pinch. My fear is, and this has happened recently, although we've been able to fill the jobs, we haven't been real shortage areas, is what I'm seeing happen is that districts are getting desperate. So for example, somebody leaves West Haven, we're paying them based on 2 years of experience. However, for another district to fill a position, they're paying the person if they had more experience. I think that's going to happen a lot. We wouldn't be opposed to it, by the way, depending on what the job is and depending on how close we got to the start of the school year. Is it fair? Absolutely not. Because you've got people who have been teaching for so long that are locked into a step. We try not to do that, but based on the position, in order to keep the classrooms covered, that's our priority. And all of our administrators know that. The first priority is a classroom teacher. After that, if we need to, we pull support from different positions throughout the school district. But it looks like we're going to be in pretty good shape. As you can see, the one common theme, which I don't know what to do about, because even when we hire them, they move around because they're in such demand on bilingual parents, which, as you all know, with our rising EL population, that's a major priority in our school district. So Rafaela, Mara, and her team, they do a great job. We put something out to Carrick, putting things up online on our website, just to try to attract people. That's the one area I'm concerned about. Where it says sub for speech pathologist, what that means is that we can't contract out if we can't find speech pathologist to actually hire. So that's an option, although everybody's short. So it's not the easiest option in the world. But having said that, we're in very good shape to start the year, and that there'll be a teacher in every classroom. We'll be combining classrooms, raising classroom size, which, you know, can frankly be an issue. We don't want to do that. We do everything we could to avoid that. But it's our mission. Teams done a really good job over the summer. Constant interviewing, constant, follow through and making offers and trying to lock down positions. But I thought it was important that the board see the open positions now. As you can see at West David High School, covering with a 6th period class, we take our current staff and give them all an extra teaching period, pay them for it. It's an agreement with the union as to the amount we pay. If you'll notice, those are all shortage areas. Physics, general science, Spanish, technology education, even special education. They're all areas that are different. My teachers spread, so they'll take what would be the teacher, give 5 teachers a class in that area. Saves us a little money, not in ideal. You would rather have a teacher hire, but at least we know they're getting a competent, qualified teacher as opposed to hiring somebody in a shortage area at the last minute, because frankly, you don't know what you're getting. Teachers in shortage areas don't have jobs right now. We've had teachers that, they thought they tried teaching, they go back to the art program, the alternative certification program. They're there for 3 days and they leave because as much as they know and about their subject matter, it's all the other things that count managing kids, all doing your lunch duty, that they don't know quite get them. So we're in good shape as a school district. And I want you to have that. Yeah, so I'm not sure why it's in Pagels, but I know that what we're trying to do is we've had a retired person from New Haven to our magnet school PPTs in New Haven. We've also had a growing number of West Haven. Since the program started. We also have a school psychologist who's retired. So what our thought was, and something that we've actually talked about before for a long time, creating an administrative intern program where somebody can rotate in the position every couple of years and actually oversee PPTs, learn the process, help out with the special ed office, even do 504, which is growing by leaps and bounds. So we're paying for it with the money we'll be saving by not hiring outside. And it's also going to give us an opportunity to look at potential administrative candidates down the road. So I think Stefania came to me in the summer. I know she worked with Matt as far as the actual financing and funding the program. And I think it's going to be a home run for our district because I would rather put that inside. And I know the teachers are going to obviously get to another job, so they have to have it as well. Yeah, I don't ask me how that works. I know Carrick has been putting them up online, and we've also been posting, as you can see, some of the other sites.
Right.
And I think we've been experiencing some issues with APP. We're actually, as I mentioned to you, we're working with the city to try to get everybody, not only in the city, but with the Board of Ed, trained in whatever it is that we need to train about so we can take advantage and use all the modules that we're currently paying for. See, I'm surprised you're not getting it, but I'll make sure that we do.
So we're getting some.
And by the way, during the summer, the way we work with the teachers union is we don't always post the open. The positions that become open in the summer, we don't post. We have a voluntary transfer list. However, again, Pat, if you remember, we can hire for those positions, the open positions, but we would have to repost them in April and do internal transfers. And then the new person, the last person, in get whatever the available position is. So that's another thing. I don't know. Maybe that's why you're not getting all of them, simply because we don't post every time somebody leaves.
Yeah.
during the course of the summer. All right. Yeah. Second, one thing that I wanted to point out to the board, and I know you were supportive last time when we talked a little bit about central registration, and I think that's going to be really good for our school district. One of the things that I noticed last week, and I was given an update on Friday, we had, as of Friday, we've got about 300, 400 kindergartners. And these are families new to the district, in many cases new to the city. People who actually started the registration process in the spring, we still had about 134 these are kindergartners. I mean, it was way off guard. We never completed the registration process. And I believe it's going to be really, really important. I've always felt this way, and it's always a priority. Get the kids in school day one. So we're utilizing our central office people. When the elementary secretaries come back, they'll be given a list, and we're going to do everything we can. But frankly, I'm concerned about the number of people. And again, whether it's a language barrier, we've got bilingual people making phone calls, whether it's not being able to contact an elementary school, but with the central registration, whatever it is, we need to do whatever we can to get these people in compliance, especially if it's a physical exam. So we're pretty lenient. Two things you need to start kindergarten, really. At the end of the day, it's a birth certificate and a physical. You know, but that's a lot. That was an alarming number. I wanted to point that out to you guys. Having said that, we'll do everything we can, and I'm sure the number is going to come down. But not all of them are going to be in school day one. That's alarming.
Said with once the secretary is in, so I think they come back and they probably get
They're calling them, but we got to get in their certificates. You got to have the physical. You know, the difficulty with that is, you know what, when the elementary secretaries go back to work, there's inevitably we'll have letters or requests for records. So yeah, I think some people will move. In fact, what ends up happening is it balances out. Some people move, some people come in, the number doesn't change. But yet some of these people may have moved, or they were in an apartment or whatnot. That will happen. But again, I think the number, given the number of kindergarten, that's half. That's about half. That's too high a number for a district like ours, where we need kids in school.
I'll just, I don't know, my experience with registration is for it years. Experiencing when I'm someone who follows directions and goes steps. And it has been multiple years back with, I believe someone from central registration saying, don't need this, this is the I've walked into that portal so many times to make sure all my forms were green. Okay, all my forms are green. Every form in there is filled out. Okay, but you still have to submit these. So it's not for me that the registration, because if all my forms are green, but yet I still need to submit the mortgage statement and the birth certificate, but leave. I don't have any empty leaves. I'm wondering if that's contributing to some of it. I'm actively trying to get it.
I think that's an excellent.
Over a month.
Your points are well taken.
And then today I got an email from the secretary. So she's now emailing on top of it. And you put it in with a duplication of work, which in any workspace you want. So much so in terms of that duplication is I was in direct contact with the, I believe, central administration this morning and then got a feedback. So there's definitely duplication of efforts happening. I was actively doing what I needed. So again, I don't know, that's just my experience, but it's been over a month.
Yeah, no, listen, I think you're 100% correct. I'm sure that's going on. This is a new process for us, one that I think will benefit the district. We're also trying to push people online. We literally had secretaries on the phone with people saying, go onto this website, click this button, do this form. So it's new to our school district, but I think in the long run, it's going to benefit us. The issue too, Jen, again, I'm not sure if you're aware of this. The biggest problem is the elementary schools. There are no 12-month secretaries. We shut down. So that is a little bit of a problem. What I think the central registration does will alleviate, again, kids starting the registration process the day before school started. Now we've got to wait for you to get your physical. We've got to wait for you to get your proof of residency. We've got to wait to get, especially at the high school level, records so that we can put you in the right classes. So it's a process. I think we're going to get there. I think central registration is the right way to go. But I'm sure that those kinds of things are happening more so than in the elementary school, where I'm more, I don't want to say I'm not concerned about middle school, high school kids, but really we need kindergartners in school.
Are we, is that system that registered, I mean, not this, it's not set in for, so a long past those
You can
days.
upload.
It are all the requirements, like she said, all of her requirements are green, yet she's still missing forms. Are all the requirements actually listed on that list? Yeah. But I mean, I'm talking like for the parents who are actively uploading their stuff, like Jen is doing. Like it says that she's still missing a birth certificate, but is there a birth certificate line there? So no, there's not a birth certificate.
It's said that in the requirements.
Listen, my kid uses, and I'm gonna disparage their name right here, Castle Branch at Sacred Heart University, which is right here, and I'm just hoping that's not what we have.
So, the reason you're legal, obviously, is because you are able to get documents of the name from however, you are able to submit your the reason we do that is because sometimes and our philosophy is let's get the information in that we have families who are not able to have documents. We want to do this so we're not allowed to do it. We don't even further try for us to try to think. So that would be I think we're getting there, but that helps to understand, because that's exactly what happened. I had, there were still things, but I wasn't sure. It's kind of the lesson people used to have to include without it, but then like, we're using people, and it was because they weren't able to submit, and they didn't registration. So we have to come to submit, so we know that they're trying, and we can reach out and that's.
Do you have customization on that page to say like these, although your leaves may be green, you know, it might be fall and you have a few redheads.
Yes, we went on
Okay.
create a message about that, but that's the reason. It is kind of a whole other story, but it does kind of look to like that.
Thank you. I agree with that, like you want to be able to reach out to those who might be.
You rather say, hey, you're missing something than.
Thank you.
And again, what I want to just be, I mean, the kindergarten numbers were like, if you were to take the other grades combined, I mean, 1 to 12, they wouldn't be add up to the kindergarten. That's what was concerned. I'm guessing that's usually the number that we have. I don't have the number, but it's a total of 174 pending registration. So almost half.
One of the things that I don't know if you've taken into consideration is that because the state has a, they removed the religious exemption for vaccination. This is the first year with that could be the fallout that you're experiencing. My homeschool co-op has doubled this year in their community. So that may be as parents are realizing that they have to get 15 vaccinations. But it's about, they're saying, I'm just providing them for thought that this is the first year that the state mandate. Let us know because,
Finally, as promised at the last meeting, Ted Carney's here to update you guys on our summer building projects, some things we have in the hopper. He's brought Nick Conti from Gilbane Construction, who was the project manager for the West Haven High project. I'm assuming Nick's going to be involved with Washington School as well, and Michael Sasso, who's an architect from Antonosi. So, Ted, I know you have some updates. The one question that I wanted to just write off the bat, because it's a concern of mine, Ken sent me a list today. One of the projects that I am very concerned about, something I wanted to make the board aware of, certainly out of Ken's control. One thing that's not on this list, we said, and we informed you guys earlier, that one of our main projects, and we told this to the city council, we were there back in the spring, was the Carrick boiler project. The problem with that is we are waiting for the city to bond the money. And if the money doesn't get bonded, or if there's a reason why they can't bond for the money, when you guys get the text from our teachers who aren't supposed to be on their cell phone during the day, and they say it's cold in Carrick, it's going to be cold in Carrick, because we've had problems with those boilers for years. And that's a major project. But Ken, I don't know if you have anything to add to it, but I know that wasn't on the list. But it is of particular concern.
So we've been working with the city to get that out to bid. It starts with a RFQ for an engineer. We did manage to advertise, we did a walkthrough. Let the engineers put their bids in. 215 or 5,000. We chose the most responsive bidder, that bidder was after the city, so we are start design. We follow up. Process, once that's done, project got bid, we're putting the price tag for that project. What that covers is not just replacing steam boilers with water boilers, but we are replacing the whole type of school and service the use. With that, we are responsibility to use the HVAC, also the toilets. So when it goes down, we also have the burden of heating the pool. With three boilers, based on folding discussions.
Again, my concern is that Ken's done everything right and has followed through. And if the plan is a good one, but we need the city to put the financing in place, because we can only get to the points that Ken's mentioning. Money's not here. We run the risk of going through another cold season without boilers properly working.
Can you have any update from them on how that is moving along?
So, yeah, so I've seen, this is out of the year, we create a request based on capital goals. We have asked for capital city's share. We asked for money for Washington School. For Carrick boilers. The boilers stay within the capital plan as the Washington High School. So it's seen on paper. The control goes to the city council bonding. I have met the city council members explaining the urgency. The school are not the boilers. That's support on the council.
Again, the issue was based on the last board meeting that I attended. or I listened to this draft of the contract was on there. It's the ability for the city to be able to bond if these audits aren't done correctly, and, you know, the city's got some challenges ahead of it. And that's why I think it's really important that, while it's not part of Ken's project list tonight, it needs to happen, you know?
Just one question about the boilers. There's been a lot of talk lately, I've noticed, about air quality. Would the boiler and potential HVAC address any air quality issues?
No, this is great. I can tell you that there's a lot of money on the schools taking care of it. Change over the top elevation units, and build it better quality. But we have to do some things.
And that's potentially on the table, depending on the price? Okay. Great, thank you.
Sure. Well, so that's the way around a new roof system, all right? Go a lot big. We have generators, emergency shelter for the city. Just stay in the garage. So just replace the tiles on the second floor, then we're going to do the first floor. The process of going through building project requires us putting out an RFQ, hiring an architecture firm, spending probably $500,000 just to submit to the state. The state takes 2 years to give us an okay. If you give us an okay, it's going to give us high school of Washington. Then what happens is you have 2 more years of design. So you're talking 4 to 5 years out, there's no guarantee. I believe $500,000 is coming from to start the design process. And then if the state does approve this the building, our reimbursement rate goes down to 67% from 87%. 78%. And it's, you know, in the meantime, the school is.
Is that the oldest school we have?
No. Well,
It's actually
Other
the
than
second,
Washington.
it's actually the second newest school. South Rock is the only school that's newer than Carrick.
It's actually good.
Well,
Southern Rock. So did you want?
I just have one more question
Sure.
about this. When did this process start? I mean, I guess it's like when you run into roadblocks like this, the question is, what did you learn? And how did you do that? Was this project started in time, or were we a little bit on any of the processes now?
So
Game of Thrones, winter is
Sorry,
coming.
I didn't say that, but it is.
we will get into the school. No matter what. We process some money, we will have to the school. I don't remember the capital plan request prior to the renovation. We usually sit down, hold on projects, kind of feel someone in the city, someone before that, the city is good. But when we saw there was an actual capital plan request, we went around to buildings and we identified areas of one request. Put it in the capital plan.
We have gone to the capital plan trust.
No, I will tell you, though.
I think Bob has a big.
I believe that what we've submitted is legitimate. The other thing too, Ken, is I think prior to you overseeing the building committees, numbers were just thrown out there. We've actually had a better handle on, no one could have predicted COVID, shortage of materials and those kinds of things, skyrocketing prices. But I think our numbers are very filled out, where I think in the past, we kind of just, is anybody taking us seriously? Let's just say we need this, and put a number in now as a placeholder, and we'll move it along. So the process is a real one. Again, I think the city's got some things they need to overcome. Number one, first of all, the ability to actually bond.
But it's the issue, to answer you a little further, the boilers premature. That's because there was an issue with the chemical boilers, right? That chemical service boilers, addition boilers, capacity of water. By the time we forgot about that, it was really bad. So that's the issue. We, a few years back, we went out, we did boilers like Forest, we did boilers, Illinois, we forced it in Washington. Carrick really did not get on this for another 5 or 6 years. This that function issue that we talked about. Insurance would cover not replacement boilers, but say the pipe broke open on the floor. That portion, fortunately, we have $100,000. The 4.2 is rebuild. We gotta have 4.2 million damage, unless it's frozen.
Health insurance with, maybe to a water system. Or a steam system.
The water system is more efficient, it's easier to run, it's less expensive.
But in terms of damage. Damage to the school. Water.
No, you would have the same issues. All right, so moving on to my first item, discussing high school. The job is complete, with the exception of a small list of proposals, just want to show everybody. So typically, we have a $130 million job. The job is a lawsuit. People hate each other because they think that's not the case. We have a great construction team, we have a great designer. And this job is a total success. We actually have a very small punch list. The project budget is going to reflect $1 million under budget. And we have put $7.5 million back into the school. Talking to the state, they plan, some state officials at the school facility. This is the United States, or one of the United States high school buildings. Here. Now, if we start the closeout and capture the $7.5 million that's in the state, I need a motion from the board that next meeting. That's to say, the board of ed accepts the high school project as complete, which comes with the high school project number. So that's the agenda, not just the minutes. And with that, I can then order the audit.
I will be at the next meeting. Tammy's familiar with the process, just make sure that whatever wording needs to get on there gets to her so that it gets to the board. Because even though the way you read the motion, that's the exact result.
I'm glad to see the receipt.
That-
I'm glad to see the top two.
Yeah, that's everything. But listen,
Because I heard this coming in. I was like,
if these guys walk away with this, we still get success. We're gonna do all, promise. All right, so moving on to Washington. Yes.
Sorry to stop you. I don't. This punch list, does this include, like we had talked about, the fencing, to provide the guardrail, to provide the tennis court? Or is this just like?
No, that's in this part.
But Ken, we did set aside funds for that, or that's part of the ARPA.
Sidewalks and get the ARPA. So what you're looking at is strictly the state reimbursed project, which is this physical plan. The boundaries made the curved educational way and the curve to the right. We can't go beyond that.
And all of this totals everything in this punch list. I just need clarification. Because we're gonna have a motion on it, so I want to make sure that we have all the information. The motion is to get the money for this punch list, or?
No. So the way it works is the state of Connecticut holds back 11% of every dollar. We have roughly $7.5 million to the state. They release that. What triggers their order is the order that accepting the job. We're looking at a very small punch list. We had punch lists per room. We had the architects walk through. this was a phased project, we were able to come in and handle this early on as each section is complete. Now you're looking at your, so I did have a phone book size of punch list items, all complete, which happened over a 3-year process. But you have in your hand is all that's left. And you don't want to hold up, I mean, most of this was done one next game. You certainly want to hold up $7.5 billion for $5,000.
So you're asking us to say that this project is complete.
Next one. In terms, the way we define complete is can we use every room for which it is designed? The answer is yes, every room in this building can be used. But I'm not saying it's going to but part of the problem is we are waiting for components that we can't get. And part of this function is this new pattern for that side, which is not even part of the original project. It's really together again. We need some hardware for that fencing that comes 8 months of waiting for us. So that will not be done. However, we still have to build in some money. We won't use all the money for this. We work with question. Trace is a wire that goes on a pipe that turns on like freezing or very cold.
We only have one that's left.
That's it. Well, we don't use much trace. We have an issue with tunnels that we don't think the heat that is supplied is the part of the tunnel. So belts and suspenders, we're putting the trace on and down every morning. But the silk fencing is the fencing that goes around the perimeter of the building. Keep the silk washing into the wash. Yeah. Yeah. So the good news is it's a very small punch list. There are no lawsuits. Everything's happened. There are no major issues. We had the opportunity to tour several high schools. We went to constantly this high school. Everyone had air conditioning was working in the chain, work was bubbling, all of this.
Anybody complains about I'll tell you what I think the issue is. I think the curves in between are too long. If you look at every single curve in there, the whole curve completes. Driving for a little while, every time I pull in that whole parking lot, it's very difficult. That parking lot is very difficult.
So that we talked about that to zoning when we applied for the parking lot. Those are the zoning rules. All right, so that's the high school. The promotion. That's the existing functions. Next, we move on to Washington. So here is a floor plan for Washington School. What you don't see here is this wall in the gym is made out of glass. Absolutely so. And it overlooks a courtyard that is a plane. It's not glass. It's like a truck. This is a complete safe place for young kids to play. There's no access to it. So this is the design that we have right now. I will try to email you a conceptual plan, so that it's easier to understand. We did manage a space waiver. Space waiver from the state that allowed us to build this around 6,100,000 square feet. Out back, we're at 600,000 square feet. We're at 47,000 square feet. So it's usually and this yeah, we haven't looked at the hardscape, but I'm sure the building, yeah, this is the building company. But this place can be a lot more costly outside the place. Well, this is outside. So here's the issue. Let me show you. So when you cover the concept that you want to go to school, you hire an architect to put together a plan that you submit to the city. Very little engineering is done in that building, very little discovery is done in that building. It's just an intent to plan for the school. Then when you actually hire all your professional teams, engineers, and you start deep diving this thing, you start uncovering issues. The biggest issue this was designed as a three-phase project spanning almost 3 years. Now, if you look at the bottom here, this is kind of a blood plan. You will see in red, you will see the existing building. You will see the three-phase plan. Everything that has to be done. You want to build this building while kids are in school. And when I saw this, I said, that's one lot, young kids, 3-story building. It's not that. So I started asking the professionals on one-phase project, students believe in this. What we discovered is that in the multi-phase project, for safety, you don't expect an accident, it's possible. Traffic will be there. Traffic right now, we're talking about 18 wheelers coming in. Was coming in, and then that will be work. The phase construction spans over 3 years versus less than 2. General conditions. So what's happening is because it's a longer job, it costs us more. That money gets paid to the construction manager. That money gets paid to engineers because it's not going to your school. You don't get within the classrooms. You don't get furniture. You pay it out. Winter conditions, huge expense. If we go 3 years, we have to temporarily heat school while things are living. Plus, we have to report that. Then we have all this temporary post. A lot of it hasn't been done. We have a situation in high school. We opened up the secret. We were short on exit. We had to spend that's going to happen in this school. The bidding is a real nightmare. We just came from a bid on the election board, which twice what we thought it was going to be. We're asking contractors to hold their price for 3 years. Where they do price. They can't pay it. We're fixing the cost 3 years from now, we're using the cost locally. We're running almost 9% inflation. So we think if we do a phase project, we're going to run into a budget that's not for the business. We also are concerned phasing in phase number 3 actually lose the use of 13 classrooms. I have to explain more of that. This is the new building. We want new school. We basically built this definition in phases. This portion in the cafeteria is the first. And the mechanical and electrical. So that's a separate set of challenges. Then we build this portion here. And then with the current 19. Yes, that's right. In 1909, when the original one was right. So once we built the first phase, and then we built the second phase, the only thing I left to do is knock down the 09 one and the 1911 and build the
When we do that, we take out the administrative. So new administrative, so it goes in the second page. Down one avenue, so as well as number of classes. So the first phase is building up. The second phase is about 6 classes. The problem is, as Ken mentioned, the phasing. Some of the classes are finishing this first year. We need to use as needs. So of those 17, there's 2 or 3. Then when we take the entire 9 years, we use all those classes. 5, 6, and 17. 20 years. We can have operating for that full academic.
It's not feasible. Do 3 phases, you can't lose 13 classrooms. Now, if we do 1 phase, traffic goes away. Construction of full areas, material, storing equipment, building control immediately, about safety. There's no student safety risk at all. The schedule you pick up on time. So with the phase plan, there's 3 years. Single phase plan, less than 2. Winter condition savings, you know, it's $95,000 is 1.8 year. Forecast 150,000 general conditions, 560,000 reduced estimation. Tell me that's going to be a project. 560. We think this is a savings of another $500,000. Temporary stairs, temporary fire alarms, temporary sprinkler alarms, all that goes well. A single phase project, get real pricing. You tell them that, listen, buy the liquor once, build the store. Not buy something now, 2x1 rate. So we're thinking a $2.5 million overall savings if we do it in 1 phase. We think that 2 academic years or less versus now the question becomes, where do you put 426 kids? The answer is Yale has a building that can facilitate the entire student body in 1 building. The building is within the campus of Yale, the upstate College. There's a garden after. There's an area outside for students to recess outside. There's more space than we need. There's space for a cafeteria, for a gym, for classrooms, for breakout rooms for students. If you look at the area photograph, you can kind of see where the building is. And the green space is the area that kids could actually use to play outside. It's connected to the Yale School of Nursing. We have a bridge, side bridge. It's building 410. The circled area is the playscape area. This would be the entrance right here where the tables are. And that would be a 2-year stay while we build Washington School. For all the reasons I mentioned. Now, the problem is I cannot direct $41 million project to continue. I say so that we're going to reach the end. That's the one paper motion. These guys start using it. We have a lot of questions like that. What I can tell you is that the superintendent, assistant superintendent, Tammy, your board chair, myself, went there. It's nicer building. buses, meaning that it was a school was left there, we have high school West Haven, for 2 years. The building is all the life safety equipment, in it, sprinklers, fire alarms, egress. It really is a much better facility than what Washington offers.
I think the thing that concerned me the most was, again, I didn't like the idea of separating kids or finding a building. You know, a challenge of finding one building. We looked at New York, Lady Vickers, they're going to open new school there right now, so I think that would be out. The nice thing is this can accommodate the entire school. It's Ken's cafeteria, the gymnasium, there's even a nice outdoor area where the kids can play. Breakout rooms for office space where the kids can work in small groups. It checked all of the boxes that I didn't see happening if we were to try to stay within the confines of West Haven.
Well, it was back. We went to work church. We secured 14 classrooms. Not enough to service students. We were going to try more. Then we shot up to Thompson. We're looking at probably $4 million to put that in for the school. Talked about the lead, the church we made, that our classrooms. We never been contacted by the leader. And the reality is this, tell people, what if tomorrow after the school is working?
To be fair, I was in no when I was approached by this topic. I thought, no, this isn't gonna work. It's not feasible. Having been there prior to when I worked, they did a lot of the COVID clinics there. During the walkthrough, I would say my mind was changed with the accommodations that they're able to make with maybe some classroom spaces and moving the walls around. And, as Ken said, the people could not have been more accommodating. As far as, they said, we'll come up with a plan for the busing, we'll come up with a plan for, parents are late, have to pick up early. They were super nice and super accommodating. And apparently Orange had a school there at a different building when they were rebuilding one of their schools. So this is not the first time they have done this either. So that was a big plus in my mind.
So we talk money, I don't want to speculate. I don't think this would be good for them. So it's a secondary pay. I should be responsible for getting some temporary walls and some painting. I didn't hear it.
There was none several years ago. They were retrofitting City Hall. Our central offices were moved there. I don't recall who had charge for us.
You said next year.
And this is currently empty space that they're no one's in right now, so it's not, they're not losing revenue by letting us.
426.
And we're building a new school at 426. I don't know. So about, is it 426 now? I thought we built it 480. They were building a little large, yeah. One of the things that, again, this was a first shot at it, so we don't have details worked out. What we saw, we liked. The one thing that I think that we would have to consider, obviously, every child in that school now needs to be bused. So one thing we would have to do would be make sure there were enough buses in order to get the kids to and from school. We certainly can't lengthen the teacher's day. What we could do is possibly adjust the times. But again, we're really early in the process. And the nice thing is that if the board says yes, this doesn't happen until next September, right? We've got a year to notify, plan, and really do a good job to make sure all the details work out.
In that year, so now and then, we're designing the condition, we're designing civil things. And that's when we realize savings. Without that permission, we'll continue designing to phase projects. And then the answer from when we do phase 3, it's attachments. And some of your savings, you have to figure out additional buses. Just current state of affairs. We're finding buses, we're finding drivers. we'll need to continue that.
I think that's why we need, that was, my thought was, that's why we would need to alter the time. So it'd be like, for example, they finished Savin Rock, the runs at 8:45. Now we're gonna do the Washington Elementary School runs.
I'm not sure the traffic completely goes away because that's close to the neighborhood school. Doesn't have a lot of bus traffic. Present. So we have to pick all those kids up from the neighborhood.
Yeah, but you won't have the traffic conversion like on spot. People will work. My traffic study goes to shop. The reality is, if you move tomorrow, the Washington School private class, the only thing keeping it from happening is parents kind of know when they cross the line, they take a turn, all that stuff. We're gonna add to that mix of construction equipment, probably another 40 cars, for construction workers or more, cement trucks, hay loaders, everything else. It's not big.
think it's a great option. I just think it's, and I thought this since I moved to West Haven that Yale, and I know there's lots of whatever, I'm new here, so know all the history, but we went to that nature walk in the, it's great, and I'm like, why does the community not have access to this? Why does the community not know about this? And I think it bridges that gap. This idea bridges the gap between Yale and West. Okay. My concern is saying yes to something that I don't have significant pieces to.
Jen, I don't think we need to make that decision. Here's tomorrow. I think, again, I think you're entitled to, and it's on us, incumbent upon us to actually work out the details so that we can say, look, unfortunately, the kids are going to go to school from 9:30 to 3:30 instead of 8:55 to 3:25, whatever the element. So I think those are things we're going to have to work out. I know that Mike was at the original tour, so he would show you how the classrooms work out. I think, again, what we saw was this was the first pass and we liked what we saw, but we need to work out some details.
Now, that question, certainly, kind of wait. Our grant was out in June. Start construction. Yeah. Extension.
I don't think we're looking for months. I think we're looking for, a few weeks to get all the detail. I don't need to speak for you, Jen.
No, yeah.
I don't think we were thinking about putting it off for 6 months.
But I don't
Yeah,
think it needs to
maybe
be next
the
meeting
next-
like the other motion does either. I think if we were to be able to come back and give the board definitive plans, that might take a little bit.
And then prepare it,
And again, just I think the nature of it is, I think we're gonna get some pushback when you alter the times. I think the teachers and the workers are gonna say, hey, wait, this is the time. We're entitled to do those things, but I think we don't want to fight them on, we want to get them on board with why we think it's the best plan.
Any question from Washington before I move on to, just want to ask, first, for this reported, based on the president's statement of the city, this project is seriously considered supported by the city.
The state is going to work this through.
Nothing's going to change.
So when they award the grant, they change that. Only the, those, eligibles.
And let me say this too, I think the other concern would be, I will say that the mayor, the administration, and even the council, we've gotten unanimous support on the project, so I think it's a priority. I think our fair is that it's the ability to actually go out on the money.
We're getting 67% of the state. See, some point. Washington School is not.
And they've got, I mean, we're 10 years, we're going to start a high school project. Not all that money is bond for either, so I don't believe we have to bond for that tomorrow, the short term.
Now, most cities use the state money first. They also do dance. All right, any more questions on Washington?
So you have just, I mean, clearly this pitch is for the single phase project because it only has advantages listed, no disadvantages. And maybe there are, you're the one who's researched all of this. So when it says multi-phase project disadvantages, I don't see any advantages. I can't, I mean, I can maybe some advantages of maybe even a 2-year
Well,
project.
so,
or different,
yeah.
but
So here's that question, on construction, right? So what are the disadvantages of the single phase project? There's a political disadvantage, you have transparency for it, and you have plus teachers' unions. You've got to go to a building, you have to do it. Granted that, but those are disadvantages that don't show my radar. My job is to do a new school, the safest way possible, or the least amount of money possible, and the biggest way possible. That phase one. If we go 3 phases, I'm going to be back here, maybe for the city council, asking for more funds. Because I know it's come in, this project, so for the budget of it. We're seeing this happen in the state, and there's no more phasing people pulling the price. So I think if we go to a 3 phase, it's a very good chance that we do something right. Whereas it's $1 million on it.
And with this new building at Washington School, is there potential for expansion? Like, is the base gonna be strong enough if we have to put on another? I know we can't go out, but we can go up.
First of all, there are many restrictions on kids that age. Second of all,
I know we can't go anywhere out.
This becomes a school for 456 kids. It's a new gym, it's a classroom, it's state of the art, better security. 2 floors instead of 3. Right now, you know, it's in the second, third floor, I think, one that would be that out.
I think if you're concerned about those kinds of issues, one of the things that the board may want to consider, although not cheap, you know, we're looking at between $300,000 and $500,000, is some kind of long-term study which looks at not only the current state of your building, but also the redistricting plan. If you have the courage and the heart to want to go there.
I'm not sure I agree right
You know
now.
what I mean? That's quite an undertaking.
We have a lot.
And again, that's a whole sales process as well. That's something, again, not out of the realm, maybe it's something you should consider. But, you know, I would like to do it with a new building. You know, counting on a new building and saying, you know what, it's a little more palatable to send you to Washington School, a brand new building, than it is to send you there right now where it's 110 years old. You know, internet doesn't work quite as well there, or, you know, there are issues that were never even seen that we may be dealing with when they
Do
built.
they have running water when they built this?
Exactly, you know, listen,
The road was dirt.
The school before that school, kids walk into the school. Flash Monday.
I remember there's pictures of it. The road was not even paved.
yeah, when you see the picture of that, they did the 100-year celebration, there was no road there. There's no people.
So now, to answer your question though, we do have with the space saver, we've added the music room. We've added a lot of resource areas that you would normally have at the space saver, so there is room to expand in the building.
Okay.
But there's not an opportunity for the other.
I think that's a great point, that if for some, we get a grade level that's higher than what we were expecting, we can take the music room away, and maybe share the art room. Add a classroom, add a classroom. It's 2
No
floors.
basement.
It's 2 floors.
2 floors on the side. Just forget West Campus will be Marshall at the time. So we thought that we talked about switch. It's going to be Marshall Road, parents, buses will go along.
I think it was vice versa. I think the parents would come in, no, you're right. Marshall
No,
Road
there's
would
a-
be like, if you're coming in late, yeah. If you're coming in late with your kid or you're picking your kid up early, they would have to come in the main entrance.
On our school, it's like larger school.
Yeah, we talked about having the buses come in. Sure. I mean, they go, yeah, they go option, yeah, option and go to the other.
We can't allow it.
Yeah.
Right? We can't-
Put that on your list of why you're gonna cancel school. Yeah.
All right, turn it on to Bill. Middle school, had it been by, you should, there's people over there. To change the entire face of the school. Having 2,100 square feet. To the existing cafeteria. We're changing all the ceiling tiles in the old cafeteria. We're changing all the floors with the carpet.
And the $64,000 question, he went through all this. Great. Is it gonna be ready?
So right now, we are here to over these two on the school board. It's happening so hard. Yeah.
We definitely talked about that.
The last time you presented it to them.
They did that, we changed this last time. All right, moving on to, Carrick, as proposed, the work plans are very efficient when it comes to sound and, lighting. So we put out a bid, for the benefit of the design and build. Like projectors, sound. Walk the schools, the big company, the schools, the companies that do it. Also, walk through. Fortunate to fix the proper side of all that stuff. That's now we're fixing the cafeteria. So what parts of that school are undersized? He's putting out. So, that's what we're food refresh. So we have some extra funds to redo the pools that are in high school. That will include the parking lot, the entrance. To the high school. Signs.
Windows and doors, which would also make the building, seal the building up, which would save us probably a lot of.
We're talking about this patio, that connects to the parking lot over here, so we can actually park in that parking lot before the curves. Walk into the pool, not going around, just like. Working with the going on to second lot, parking lot, should set. That's how big. Fine. Once we hire. Once we design.
That's when we would be able to finish the feeder from Lake Street. Little short side, that speed bump, what you did is design so people are racing around.
Yeah, I'm talking about,
That speed bump probably should have curved.
yeah, we're actually talking about. Anything else on, all right, that brings us to election law. So our budget is just under $3 million. The election hall that we designed in at 5.7 million. Plus, we don't need 600. We walked the building, and we want to put the election hall in front of the building. There's one parking, and so we're going to assembly. It's a small cube. Mechanicals would actually be an extension of the cube. We still have a sloped seating area, 96 students versus 126, like 90 versus 126, slightly smaller. What's really cool is we're going to create a glass hallway next to the existing school to the lecture hall. Look here, it's all glass. We'll keep the sidewalk in place, the side and everything. Surround it with glass, and walk through, and you can actually get into the lecture hall that way.
Not envisioning where you're putting the seat.
All right, so if you go to the very front of the school,
Yep,
and you look here, if it's someone can see that,
yep.
okay? We're gonna bump it off right about here. Right about here.
So not where the big grassy area is.
No.
Okay. In the park.
In the parking, yes. We'll remove some curbs that are afterwards.
Can they be shorter?
So we're in design phase right now. We have to back up from the detail, but here's the deal. The challenge with the other location was the slope of the ground. There's so much concrete. It's multi-tiered, all kinds of plus issues. Here, we keep the integrity of the front of the building. Use the line of glass, use the same brick, same materials. And it's in a location that kids don't have to walk across the entire school to get to. It's in a better area. It's that staircase that the classrooms right there. And it's right in the parking lot. And we think it's going to come in under the roof.
And this is gonna be in the same area that we can lock off public access, right? So the gyms, the auditorium, the lobby, so it won't have to have its own security, so if they have, some outside lecturer come in or whatever, we can still lock that off.
We want to control the other side.
Like that.
We didn't have that option. The other side, we had to walk to school.
Yep.
Now, we were thinking much larger, not much larger, 20% larger. We really wouldn't fit there. Now, with the budget, so it's nice that we still maintain the slope seating. It's not double furniture, it's actually slope, zero seating. We still kept the 80 package, nice meetings and sound system and all that stuff. And we think that this will come in the budget.
And I think that your point is well taken, because my guess is with this board, I think that's going to be the hot spot for the town. So it's going to get quite a lot of use.
I think that's
by
a
a lot of
problem with
boards,
a lot of places.
by a lot of
One of the
boards.
reasons we have ours here.
By a lot of boards and commissions that, that they're not going to wander the entire building either. There's a one way in, one way out kind of thing with convenient parking too.
We took out the bathrooms, no additional bathrooms. But we have enough bathrooms.
Right there.
Correct.
Yep.
It needs code.
So then you don't have to access.
Well, you always do. What your chairperson suggested is we can lock that 5,000 square foyer there. Access the auditorium, gym, and that much. We're never locked the lecture room, so go to the school. You should go to the school. Yeah, you don't have to. You go through this door. You go right into the town meeting, you can open the school. You go right through the door. You don't have to. You have to get over the school for that.
Minus
No, you're not walking through the upper classrooms.
Not through the classrooms, but so like where all the public spaces are, like where the gyms are.
Right, but basically, like, the benefit is we have a door.
I think depending on the meeting, Jen, in other words,
We want that.
if the planning and zoning or council said, we want to use it, okay, you're gonna hire 2 custodians. If you want to use it for bathrooms, you're gonna hire 1 for the lecture hall and 1 to allow access and keep an eye on the main hallway where the bathroom.
I'm sort of thinking about students using it. And really, if you could have the auditorium use, the lecture hall use, and gym use, and still keep the rest of the school on. That's- At night, you access here, but you wouldn't need access to school.
And my point was during the day, like if there was something during the day that they needed access to, like with now, if they come into the main lobby, they don't necessarily have to traverse the school to go to the event that they're attending.
Everything stays in there.
Sorry.
And the access to that is done through traditional areas that are moved up. Like you go to the foyer, we have Plaza, we don't have BCT, we have more block, more. So what's there is handle traffic.
Not so much for you, but for the superintendent. Administration, based on current enrollment, staff will have to look up and add multiple classrooms. Multiple classrooms would help that role schedule flexibility for your school.
So again, if you add a classroom, you have to go back to the state. Talking 2 years on a wait list. Once you get through, you get through. Without the data, you have to show them projections that you don't have.
Basic, Art, that's a great point. Again, I don't know if it's gonna come true, so far they haven't, but our projection is that we're supposed to go down to like 1,300 kids. We're currently at 1,800.
Based on where you're looking to put that construction, we would use the door. That football team, because it leaves on Friday night, into the field, into the school.
No,
No?
You have two double entrances into that glass foyer. And then so still.
that one. It's the best case scenario, all the options. 90. That was just the construction budget, not the soft costs. The 2.2 is just the construction budget.
Listen, I did teach for 6 million.
So the problem is that the bids were all the bids were too high.
So what happens is the construction manager takes the architect's design, creates 21 bid packages representing each trade. Multiple trades come in. Bids, construction, so the concrete might have 5 bidders. Roofing might have 4 bidders. That's what happened. We sat down and looked at all the bids in public, all the vendors were there. And we added up the lowest bids of each division, we came in at 5.7 million. Right. So right now, we think we'll have plans ready for probably do some kind of November. Back to the city. We're gonna shoot out a bid and go to the city. No, and any monthly fee that we pay for that is part of the original contract.
No, I'm just saying, if we went over that to, you said that we would pay $40,000.
We made that. Deadline. So this is a separate project.
So how are we sure that this is gonna come in?
But we have hired an outside third-party estimate. And that estimator is putting together numbers now. We did see over at Bailey, a little bigger structure. and $500,000 by Bailey. So we had a larger number for Bailey, 2.2, even 1.6 change. That was a much easier build as this is versus what we had. So we think we get from the others. Well, no, we got the system, we said, no.
Oh,
Yeah, that's why we're on this phase. We think this will.
okay.
Well, no, this. Well, you have a budget, and so the budget, you have a project. In this case, we have an opportunity to redesign. Any questions, or we want to last item, which is, sidewalks.
I've seen a bunch of them nearby in the neighborhoods, and the people who live in the neighborhoods are thrilled. Just
The ARPA
all the
committee,
ways that I've seen.
the ARPA committee achieved the order that very well. So we actually went out and we verified sidewalks that.
I think it's the only work that actually got done.
No, we didn't follow this, but, so we went out and identified all the deficiencies, sidewalks, and up to the schools. The deficiencies of not having the sidewalks actually in the physical school property. We were allocated $40 million. Increase that over the night. So we're at 49. Done with the last two schools.
Especially over by the crew, that was so dangerous. I used to see kids walking on in the street in the morning, so I was super glad to see
We
that.
feel good about that. And, it's a great project, great calls from parents all over the place. It's a nice project. Move quickly, sidewalks with quality, budget.
Because, you know, as an aside, I've heard from some parents in those neighborhoods that said, you know, hey, we're probably gonna walk to school now because it's so much safer. And so that also helps alleviate some of that car traffic. Yeah, we're gonna expand the bus.
Let's see what happens when it gets to be 30 degrees.
Yeah. Agreed, I won't be walking in December.
So that was when the sidewalks were being done here, I saw there was like a big trench done right here in front of the tennis court. We're actually gonna put in the safety barrier, but the dirt is all back in.
Sidewalk.
I
Yeah,
know,
we are, again, we talked about some of that.
there's no.
But we plan to look into that.
You know, have those, the holdup is that the parking lot in front of the tennis court, that's not going to approve at the city of Carrick. When that gets approved, we move the curb and then we get wait for folks. We have Carl and Dolls working with that, and it's been difficult. Because it's a state road, it's a private road, it's kind of a city road, education road.
Right, and the city didn't want traffic coming out onto Educational Way when there was traffic coming in and out. So
So to answer your question, that area is not.
How do you hear that?
Well, no, the way we drove the property side, we just go first. We don't do the road first. We do the side first. All right, so line inflation.
Look at your render.
That was very informative, thank you.
Any questions?
No, that was great, thank
And
you.
the only other project that, again, I don't want to lose sight of is the track, the softball field, and eventually, hopefully, the artificial turf. That's, you know, again, I think we've got a couple more years, but we do know the shape that the track is in, the original track from 40 years ago, and also the softball field, which, again, it'd be nice to have artificial turf, but the bigger issue is the drainage that needs to happen there. And again, it's all not contingent upon the city bonding for the money, which they gave us their permission for it. They gave us their blessing on, you know.
So the update is we had bid at 2.5 to do track field softball field. slow down our approval. Mark meets once a month. We're trying to put those projects. It's almost impossible. I think they kind of do that. It feels what it's just here. You guys have the money. We don't have this funding source.
But no, I don't want to hear we don't have a funding source. We were committed to that because we turned back more than that amount of money to the city, and we could have paid cash for it. However, again, I'm not getting involved. As long as I get what I want, I don't care how we pay for it. But don't get me going on that because you know that's a sore subject of mine.
We had a deal with the city. Is that we called in, let's say. We were told that money had to be processed to go back to the council. We were sure. And back to the, if I'm wrong, I can say one thing here.
We left the meeting with that.
My instructor was there, the first instructor was there, and was there.
And the corporation council.
Corporation council, all the players that they say can do something. So listen, guys, I'm just a volunteer.
Again, this has got nothing to do with you. However, the way it was done, I think took us by surprise. And again, we weren't asking for bond the money. We simply were ready to move forward with the project and agreed to the city.
And it wasn't.
Agreed with the city to help them.
We worked hard to get that money.
Yes. Well, I mean, as I said, COVID had some advantages. We didn't spend all of our money, that's probably a once in a lifetime deal.
Any other questions, Nick?
No, thank you.
Questions
But I-
for Nick or Mike?
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Everybody.
Yeah, I'm gonna call you tomorrow because I have a question I want to ask you unrelated to this.
Sure. What's up? All right, fantastic. Good night, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming, appreciate it. Mr. Carrick, have
I think that's quite a.
That was a robust status of schools. We do not have student reps yet. Board reports. I'm gonna start with and committee, we'll do board and committee at the same time. Board will come back up.
Just a couple things, just like to ask the board chair, you can hit the reset button, just return to the board meeting, the board should be business with us. As of today, we still have not set an operating budget. At this point, we will be a quarter, September 1, which our fiscal year. Spending money in one budget reports, years past, budget ones, it's 5 years. Today, we have a policy committee, and thank you for returning to that. Let's return to use the committee format to enhance board discussion and follow-up. Issue curriculum, facilities, including the finance, being just to make a few. Board we set goal for the board, superintendent, we need to evaluate the superintendent yearly. Bottom line, we need to fulfill our duties and responsibilities, not doing this in service to the students, the district, and the taxpayers. And the final thing, I would like to see our meetings return to City Hall. I think for the average attendance at our meetings, the high school space is far too large. And ask if we still have a board of education to return to last time it was vacant. And I'm asking, so we authorize that, and certainly not discussed by the board of education.
Furniture's not there.
I was just there a week ago.
We were under the impression that we would have the lecture hall ready by September and we'd be moving our meetings here. We certainly can't move back to the board for now. I mean, it's vacant. We were going to create some office space. Anybody who's familiar with those 2 floors and how we currently work there, we've grown. We definitely need more space there. But certainly it's a temporary solution. It could be done. My recommendation would be the Harriet Northwood, which I think is a better venue, by the way. Because often where the meeting, where people participate in the meeting, it's up high. Plus you have the chairs, it's a nicer setup. I think there's no
I don't like those
poles and the columns in the way. So that would be my recommendation if you want to move. Again, I think the challenge with moving our meetings now, especially if we're going to come back here, is we want to settle on one place and make sure people are aware of it. So certainly whatever you guys choose to do, we can make it happen. But, again, I would think the Harry work, and I'm pretty sure it's taken on Monday. The other boards meet on Tuesday, we can go there tomorrow. But we do have the furniture available. If you wanted to go back to the courtroom.
To be honest, I like having our meetings here. I like showcasing this building. I mean, while it's a large room, we do sometimes have a large crowd, although over the summer we have not.
We can even,
Yeah.
we can even go to the auditorium and just utilize the lower section, because we know the way to divide it up. Even that might be a better venue.
I just think the
Slow, so
technology
you're
is
up on
better
the
here. I don't love the
That's,
technology.
again, think about it, let me know. and we'll
Okay.
make it happen.
And the question about the operating budget, I had spoken a couple times, I think, to Matt and Neil. And I think that I'm not sure that that's actually the process. So
Yeah, I think the one concern that the concern that we had was, we're like 2 audits behind as far as the city. So I think one of the things we wanted to make sure was at least one of the audits was done. Tell me what we, again, refresh my memory, but I thought that that's some of the things that we talked about.
Yeah, that is one thing we talked about also. It took such a long time for our finally city budget as a whole. July one already hit. I people. Yeah, we could protect you guys' budget and have. The line items, but the budget has a little bit is. Our process went so long.
Did they technically approve the budget too? Because I know there were concerns, for example, about even like some of the ESSER funds for the police, which actually would impact the city budget. So did they actually approve
They
their budget?
approved the operating budget, they're still working out the 5-year plan. That's my knowledge.
The last thing we did as a board was approve the recommended budget.
Yes.
Superintendent's recommended budget, that was in the city council.
Yes.
Traditionally, that number, whatever that number may come back for the board, to accept the operating budget. But somehow we're spending money. But we get this thing out there, a huge recommendation.
do we have to do that quite so in the law? That we have
Well,
to do that twice?
yeah, I would think it would be a good
It's the
recommendation.
same number.
Normally, yeah, what happened in most past years was the recommended budget or the budget we pass gets cut or there's changes in that budget. The issue is now with Marv, we kind of know going forward, but even I think it's the next couple of years, what the budget is actually going to be. I know the mayor presented a number, which was very good, but when the ESSER funds run out, they incorporated the gap, so that at least you put it in the plan. Doesn't mean we're going to get the money, because, a lot's going to depend on, are they willing to raise taxes or not? But again, I think that we made the argument for amount of money that we're going to need, especially when these funds, for the extra positions that we had run out. But
I
as
just want
far
to make
as,
sure we're in compliance with what we're supposed to do.
as far as the number hasn't changed. In other words, and it's not going to change. I think for one more year it stays the same, and then we're going to get, or we've asked for an increase based on us losing the ESSER funding.
There are projected increases going forward.
So the funding side of it is not really what I was asking about. It was the ceremonial or legality of what steps that we're supposed to take. So if we are by law supposed to set the operating budget by a vote, even if it's the same as the recommended, make sure we get that.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if there's a law, but I do think it's important that for nothing else. Okay. You're right. It's probably, I'm sure there's something in the chart that says.
Okay.
So, yeah, we can.
All right, we'll get that on the next
Again, I will be at the next meeting, but make sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just want to echo what Bob said. The new. I don't know all of the ins and outs of like what we're supposed to do, but we were all put on committee in January. So, you know, just making sure we're utilizing those. So, and for me, the biggest thing is awareness. So when I hear that people have gotten together and met and toured, I'm a little like, FOMO, you know, like, hey, why didn't we all hear that there was a tour of Yale? Because we all have to vote on it. So if we can just make sure that we're aware of what's going on, obviously increased communication makes work, but it also alleviates a lot of things. And I'm not pointing
And to be fair, that was the last
minute.
minute thing. I happened to be on the phone and said, oh, I actually have
I
time.
was gonna say.
But I brought up that.
And I was very insistent that at least one board member come. I will say this again, Yale's very accommodating. When we moved to central office, we actually, I think, rented a bus from City Hall or wherever. They did take the board here. You'll see it before we move. I think that's really important.
I brought that up that day and said, I'd like to, for any other board members, could we have another tour? And they said,
I assume positive intent until proven otherwise, so when I say it, I just, it's more of just like a,
No,
let's, as much as we can communicate so that everybody on the board is aware, especially, I'm just speaking for myself as a new person, not being part of the community. I often feel I'm missing something, you know, and so the more we can be included and, you know, communications with public about when meetings are. We have a big list.
Jen, I think your point's well taken, but again, I think with the concern I expressed, I want at least one representative from the board here to say, look, before we go to the board, before, you know, I say, yeah, I do think it's a good plan, I want to make sure that, again, at least one board member, and I call them first, this is the chairperson, but we could definitely get you guys in there before, that's not a problem, they're really good.
I was also.
I think I'd like to know more discussing those things. For us to know, so that we're not questioned by people. But I agree that, you know, it does cause a problem for some of us. Who are questions and I'd like to know more about those things. And I think
We go to committee reports, and I believe that we just had.
Policy committee met, glad we had the opportunity to do that. We went over 4 policies. One, we're going to look to modify some language and recommendation committee, and bring that back to the next meeting. So we'll look into that 2 policies to the agenda. One is P614152C, which I believe will become 2272. So I'll make it as a motion to add it to the agenda.
We have a second? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstained? All right, we'll add 22-72. Motion to approve the policy 6141-52C, which is
Structure. It's kind of a structure.
instruction and changing curriculum policy criteria for identification of eligible grade 8 and 9 students for advanced academically advanced classes.
And the other one we're looking at is the instruction in gifted tolerant student program. Get back to the policy number, it's an effort copy. So the committee made a recommendation to approve it. From 22-73 of the business. Board so chooses to make a motion.
Second. We have a second to add the academic policy. Seconded by Jen. Also seconded by Pat. All in favor? Any extension? Any dissension? We'll ask 22-73, a motion to approve the town's gifted policy number to be added as soon as we receive that.
Again, Jeff, just so you know, it'll be added when it's sent to page, so it'll be part of the, it'll just probably incorporated into the policy manual, however they put them on.
Perfect, thank you. Also under committee, I think Andrea wants to ask for the meeting.
Yeah. Prior to our.
Anything else under committee? Or just let us know when it's gonna happen.
So on our website.
Oh, the board of ed meetings.
So it says.
I think it would help, yeah, something that
That's-
It's right here.
would make it so much easier to have one spot.
I think where the next thing was, we received a recommendation on the cell phone policy from the administration. And we are going to review the cell phone policy, and I'm going to send out an email to the board asking them to submit all questions to Judy by Friday, August 19th. And we will have a special meeting to vote on the cell phone policy on Wednesday, August 24th at 5 p.m. here in West St. High School. Thanks for reminding me of that, Jen. I have notes on every single one of my pages. D1, approval of minutes. I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes from the July 18th meeting. First by Bob, second by Andrea. All in favor? Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? I will abstain. I was not here, and Ian will abstain as well. I'd like to entertain a motion to do D2 22-54 through 22-60, all inclusive of resignations. And motion by Andrea, second by Ian. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion passes. I'd like to entertain a motion to do D3 22-61 through 22-70, all inclusive. Motion by Patrick, second by Pat. Any discussion? Sure.
We dropped them back to a per diem first year PS teacher salary. And, you know, one thing is just keep in mind that they're still operating. I don't see them changing that, that being the state, based on shortage area. So we'll be able to keep the person here. Obviously, if we've got to have somebody certified, that would also send us in, but trying to find a replacement.
Right, I just mentioned one of the stuff.
If you're allowed to stay, certainly we'll try to find a certain. If they're granted a DSAP, which is the racial shortage area provisional certificate, they give it at least a year. anytime soon, we've got to pass the test.
All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Under new business, we have 22-71, the settlement agreement between the Westlake Board of Education and the Westlake Administrators Association. Motion by Bob, second by Andrea. Any discussion? All in favor?
It's exactly what we discussed. It's not changing, I believe. Floyd's office also sent the summary sheet, which you guys have received a copy of. And I think we gave you the comparatives last time for this year. I think you were looking for the ASME one that hasn't come through yet. After there's the non-certified workers that.
Right, I was looking for, I had asked him for like, information on justifying that the administrator should get this change first.
I think we sent you the comparables, or he handed out the comparables at the last meeting of all the areas. No, I'm sorry, I thought we did.
For the administrators?
Yeah, I thought we sent it.
Yeah.
Of the other districts, I meant it was compared to the other, like. Why were we approving the administrator's salary increase?
You gave, well, after was very similar. They're getting a decent raise, and they're getting step movement, as are these guys. What I think I was most concerned about, and again, if you saw the combo starting salary, we just couldn't find, we're getting the problem, we couldn't find administrators. But I think, again, don't forget, I think it's important to note that anytime we approve a contract, certainly that's going to be for or against us when we go negotiate with the other bargaining units. You know, so the next, assuming that we do teachers next year, they're going to look at it and say, we understand what the administrators got, we want the same thing, and it's all based on our ability to pay. And I would agree that, again, our teacher salary are low, they're okay at the top. We talked about this, but they are low at an entry level. That makes us less competitive with other districts. So it's something we're gonna have to address, although again, as I pointed out, it's difficult to address starting salary teachers when you're dealing with bargaining with the more senior staff. But we'll work it out.
Discussion? None, all in favor? Any opposed? Abstention? Abstention? 22-72, I'll entertain a motion to approve policy 6141.52C. Is that a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. 22-73, the talented and gifted policy number to be attached to the date. I'll entertain a motion. Second. Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstention? Sorry, any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. That is the end of our agenda, so I'll